Fire.
I don't know. I have candles.
No, it sounds like a technical glitch in the...
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
Oh, you already started it. Okay, cool. I thought that's what that was, and then I didn't see the recording. Okay, do you want to start at 50 seconds after?
Yeah.
That's in like 5 seconds.
Did it.
Got it. We got it.
Got it. Hello.
Hi, we're live.
We're live. Oh my god, I have the cutest goddamn cat. She's just like snuggled up.
Laying.
She's like half on a cardboard paper bag, which is her spot, and then half on a cutting board and half on a cushion.
Well, she doesn't have 3 halves, and that's not how halves work, so I'm guessing you mean thirds?
No, not really. Like half is the cutting board and cushion, and then half is the paper bag. But it's like in an upcline, like a uphill.
Incline?
That's what I meant. And
an upclimb. We should call it that.
An upclimb.
Walking on a steep upclimb today.
She just looks very comfortable, and I wish I was her right now. Oh, she's so cute.
Soon enough.
Hi, Ryan.
Hello, Becca.
How are you?
What's new?
Oh, what's new with me? Well, what's new? It is Wednesday. I started ADHD medication yesterday. That's new. Mm-hmm. So
what sparked you to get on that?
I feel like I've been like decreasing in my ability to do anything recently, and so I think even in January I was like, I need to get back on it, and so
that long ago, 4 months ago, you started like realizing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I went to the doctor. I even like was proactive getting a doctor's appointment, which is big. And so he put me on one that I was on in college. I think it was on this one in college. It's Strattera. It does not have a stimulant in it. So Ritalin and the other one that I never remember they're like stimulants, and so they like make you awake. And
talking about like Adderall,
that's the one. Those are all stimulants, and so this one is not stimulants, and so it should take like a couple weeks to kind of like kick in. I don't know
what do the stimulants do? You just don't like it, like overdoes it for you, or what?
Well, the reason I'm on Strattera is because I don't have any active like diagnosis of ADHD, because I got diagnosed when I was 6. I do have the pediatrician's phone number. My mom found it.
Do you have to actively get checked on like whether it's still a current diagnosis?
I don't know if you have to actively get it checked, but like he would have to have it, and he doesn't have it in his system or anything like that, so
yeah, especially when you change doctors or move locations or whatever.
And so so anyway, he was like, I can give you this one without having the actual like being diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's fine. I think it'll work. If I recall, this one was fine. Like it worked fine. And so yeah, the side effects were just like nausea at the beginning, and I haven't felt that bad, so
okay,
that's good.
Is diagnosis for that just for I have no idea about this. Is diagnosis for that just talking with someone about behavioral things and symptoms and feelings? Is it kind of like a mental discussion about what's going on versus like, because you can't get like a blood test that tells you?
Right, you can't get a blood test. I want to say, this is not based in fact, but I'm Googling it right now.
I would suspect that's the only way that you could find that out, is to talk about certain scenarios, and maybe there's prompts for, have you had this happen, and what do you feel in that situation? And
right. I feel like you would need somebody told me recently that you have to like go to a psychiatrist for like 3 months and get assessed, but I feel like you'd be able to get assessed like quicker than that in some ways.
Otherwise, you could probably just tell them what they want to hear, and you could get
right.
diagnosed if you truly wanted to. Not that
Right.
people would abuse it that way, but I'm sure they don't want to just open it to that.
I'm sure so many people abuse it that way because like Ritalin and Adderall are those drugs that like people are like, "Oh, I took it and I got through my test." I'm like, "Yeah, of course you did." Like it's supposed to like zone you in. And what's crazy is that like for normal people, if you took Adderall, it would like put you in the zone and like keep you, straight and narrow. For somebody with ADHD, it would just make you fucking normal. So like yeah, so it's funny being somebody that has been diagnosed with ADHD for all of my life and seeing like the most recent like uproar of ADHDness on the internet. It's like hilarious
There's
to be.
uproar about it.
Oh god, there's so many people who are like, I guess I'm ADHD, blah blah blah, and I'm like,
Oh, like
there's a
it's
lot.
overdiagnosed or self-diagnosed.
I think it is personally. I think it
Kind of like
is.
when some people say they're OCD, but it's like they're just
Yeah.
talking about being a perfectionist or something. It's not like they're not medically diagnosed with this
Right.
thing. They're just kind of using it as a way to say,
Yeah.
okay.
It's like self-diagnosing yourself with autism or something like that. Like, there's a fair chance that I may have autism, but I'm not going to say that I have autism until there's like a solid diagnosis, And and I may not. I may just have really extreme ADHD, like, which I definitely do. It was funny because I was doing. I'm sure you saw the story. I don't actually know if you did because you were on vacation, but I did a story about how like I can't do. I can't like plan for shows because that's just not something I can do.
I did
And
find out about that. I mean, I did see it, but I did find out about that.
yeah, and and in the story, in the very first like 1 minute segment, I get distracted and I'm like, is
Yep.
there something on my nose?
I thought that was intentional.
No, it was like so not intentional, and like everybody was like that. That's just like icing on the cake right there. But it's so much more than that. It's so much more than just like getting distracted. It's like there's so much, and like you have to kind of like cope with certain things, and I've been coping for such a long time. I was just talking to somebody who was diagnosed really early on and in her 20s was like, nope, not taking medication anymore. And she was like, I so wish I was taking medication again. And I feel the same way. So yeah, it's wild. But um in light of that, I'm trying to be way more proactive with getting stuff online. I'm really trying.
You've been hitting it.
I've been really fucking trying, and I'm in this like weird spot. I told I told somebody, I was like, I'm in the peak. I'm in my peak. The peak of my life, the peak of my artistic life is now. Like all of my shit is so fucking good and nobody's buying it.
Is
I
it
just
a is it something where if the sales don't come, you're gonna your hides are gonna drop if the results aren't coming? Because I feel like it could be like, you know, go 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 go. Because you definitely put in the effort on the front end, and then you hope that the back end of it is gonna produce
yeah.
results.
No, I don't think I'm that type of person. I'm like one of those type of people that when I was little, I really wanted to find earthworms in the backyard, like really, really bad. And I don't know if you've ever been to Colorado, but it's really fucking dry, and there's very few earthworms. And I started at like 10 a.m. and I went until it was dark outside trying to find a goddamn worm. I'm like one of those type of people that just like goes. And if I don't get the result, it doesn't really faze me all that much. I know that it'll pay off eventually, and it's good for me to do it regardless. Will I be bummed if it doesn't work out? Yeah. Will I have to quit this and get a regular job? Also, yes. Um, so it's like kind of one of those things where it's like, it's gotta work. I've gotta fucking figure it out. I've gotta figure out how to make it work. So.
You just gotta keep trying stuff and see what sticks, see what doesn't stick.
Yeah, and it's not like I have bad products. I don't. I have fucking great products. Like I said, I'm at peak of peak productness. So it's just figuring out how to get it out there.
Yeah. Feels like back in the early days.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Which is the same, it's the same situation if you were starting with shitty pots. You got to figure out how to sell them. You're just more confident in the work that you're producing and the quality's there. And the price is higher than, like, the people that have shittier pots have the price on their side where it's like cheaper.
Right.
It's more.
Exactly correct.
Their audience is a lot wider because the price is lower.
Yeah, you're right. And like, yeah, I have a little bit of a disadvantage just in the sense of my price point. And like,
in the niche of just the product you produce. Like, earrings are not going to appeal to most males. Right. Unless they're buying it for a female. Like,
or they're gay or they're trans or whatever like that. Yeah, for sure. And or they're just like wearing earrings. But yeah, and I think that I know that my fancy cups aren't going to sell online. I think I've just figured that out. Like, once you touch them, that's what makes them nice. And it's got to be an in-person experience. And we've discussed this. And so I'm not putting my focus on those as much anymore. So, and I think I'm just like trying to hold on to the fancy cups because, like, even though I was telling Aletha this, like, even though I know that my future is not in pottery, it's in jewelry, I'm like subconsciously mourning that loss.
Would you be happy getting a discount for those? What if you sold them wholesale, or if you got them on consignment? Like, would you be willing to still make them if they were going out the door at a cheaper price?
I think so.
I mean, that customer would still have to be confident that they could sell it.
Yeah, but it feels like the only way I can sell those is at a discount, and then I feel like JCPenney's, and then I feel awful. And so but yeah, so I think that I'm just like realizing that, no, Becca, if you want to live in your van and you want to eventually be completely mobile, jewelry is the way it's going to have to be. You have to give up the fancy cups. And so
there could be a selling angle with your fidget stones that, hey, do you really love this? Would you like something more functional? I get it. It's a big jump in price, but if you're like, they get the taste of the fidget stone.
For sure.
The smoothness and the tactile. So then, like, the next up from that would be the small fancy cup. Right, and then the bigger fancy cup.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how the future holds out. I'm not, like, betting all my money on the fancy cups. But I'm not, like, totally giving up on them.
Yeah.
But I'm also
maybe they would work in a gallery setting. Like, maybe there is a gallery that would be willing to partner with you.
Yeah.
That would, like, have that trajectory up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see. We will see how that goes. And right now, barely making the rent money, but we're making it. Making it. I'm trying to get 800 subscribers. That's what I'm trying to do.
You just started it. When did you start it?
The subscriber thing? Probably like a week ago. And I accidentally had it at $5, which was not my intention. So I had to figure out how to get that gone. Now it's at 99 cents. So
Okay.
I'm trying to get I like $800. 800 subscribers would be
How many
fucking
are you at as of today? So there's
amazing.
long-term
13.
updates. 13?
Yeah.
Did it start were those at the $5 or did you get a bunch once it went to
I had
$1?
6 at the $5.
Okay.
And like 3 of them were like my best friends.
Okay.
And so, and I was going to tell them that they could like, cancel it and then get it one for $1.
Does it take their money immediately when they do it?
I have no idea how it goes. I want to subscribe to a few people. I'm just not financially like able to right now, but maybe I'll subscribe to Hope's because hers is only $1.
Yeah. I saw you could gift them, which is a cool option.
Oh.
I was considering doing that, but I kind of want somebody to like submit a little blurb or something and then I pick 5 random people and gift it to them for yours.
Well, you don't have to do that.
No, I'm saying because the more people you have, the more incentive that you'll produce content on there so that you will keep up with it and be consistent. That's my thinking.
And I have been doing weird shit, like stupid shit, on it. But I will do stuff. I am going to do stuff. It is kind of fun. I think that I'll probably more like focus on van life stuff on the subscription instead of like teaching as much. So,
yeah. Did you tell your patrons to be like, hey, go over here and it's cool because or would you ever shut down the Patreon and just be like, hey, go over here and support me?
I've considered it. Like on my Patreon, it says at the very beginning, like, hey, I'm not, like, you can look at the old stuff, but I'm not doing this anymore. So if you don't want to be here, that's fine. A lot of people have just kind of like stuck around and just supporting me. So I don't know. I've thought she's getting cuter in this. It's ridiculous. I've thought about it, but I haven't kind of like pulled the plug yet. So, but I am confident that if I keep hucking, like, if I keep just.
Did you hear back from any of the businesses that you sent things to?
No.
Or did you follow up with any of them?
No.
You should follow up.
I probably should.
At least send an email.
Okay. I'm in like a weird depression transition right now, so it's been hard to follow up on anything.
Or just add it to a list.
Okay, I will.
For your perfect sunny day of when you're feeling up to it.
Yeah.
And hopefully the list doesn't depress you more that you have a list, but
hopefully. Yeah, but I'm hoping that once these drugs kick in, my life will change. It probably won't, but that'd be nice, wouldn't it? How are you? Tell me about your trip.
So we just got back from vacation. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was about a 5-day trip. It was Rachel, myself, and then 2 of our friends, and flew to Dallas, Texas. Visited Dallas for a couple days, and then we drove to Houston, and then saw Houston for a couple days. Came back home. That was our first time in either of those cities. So,
which one was better?
Better. That's an interesting word. Better. Better in what way?
Which one did you enjoy more?
So, probably Houston.
Okay.
But I don't know, like aesthetically, I would say Dallas maybe looked a little bit nicer.
Dallas is a very designy type town. Lots of designers live there.
I mean, and I'm trying to think back to like, there's also like a recency bias a little bit because we were in Houston last, which we just got back home yesterday. So
right.
But the main takeaways, I guess, from like just in general from the cities, like Dallas was a shit show with their highways because it was just so confusing. It was like spaghetti.
Ugh.
There were highways everywhere. Like, I don't know how people navigated without GPS back in the day in cities like that. Yeah. It was so confusing. We took wrong turns multiple times on highways. because there's so many interchanges and the GPS doesn't really give you the best information about like veer right, be in this second lane from the right that's going to be this thing that matches what's on the sign, and sometimes that doesn't match up. So that was, and it just seemed confusing. You like, yeah, just the way to get, and maybe it was just because we were right there near downtown where we were doing things. But yeah, I mean, I liked both. And then the main reason for the trip was we went to go see a couple baseball stadiums.
Yeah.
So we hadn't been to the Texas Rangers, which is actually in Arlington, Texas, about 20 minutes outside Dallas, 25 minutes outside Dallas, downtown Dallas. And then we went to the Houston Astros.
If you're new to this channel, Ryan is on the trek to visit every baseball stadium in the country.
Yes, every MLB stadium. I think we've probably got about 4 left, maybe.
God, that's amazing.
Out of, I think it's 30 or 32. I can't even remember. I think it's 30. I think it's 30. But
okay.
Siri's trying to chime in here. So, yeah, knocked 2 off the list. And I think I like the Rangers better between those two. They were both indoor, which was nice. Being in Texas, it's a little hot, especially that. I mean, that first day we were there, it was like 90. It was really hot, but
Okay, continue.
It was surprisingly green though. Like I didn't expect to be so many trees and so much greenery.
Yeah.
There, I expected it to be more like deserty or sandy, but it when we were driving, it kind of reminded me of North Carolina a little bit, like Raleigh, North Carolina area, where there's a lot of greenery lining the expressways and the trees are different, but it just made me kind of think of that. It wasn't very like hilly and stuff, but it was more green than we expected. So,
would you like to guess how much it costs an hour to run the AC in the Astros stadium?
How much it costs to run the AC for an hour?
Yes.
50 grand?
No, it costs $1,000 an hour to run, and then it requires almost $750,000 to replace every year.
Oh my gosh. Does it? So we were under the suspicion that both of them have retractable roofs. I'm not positive the Houston one does, but I think the new Globe Life does. The
Astros has a fully retractable roof.
Okay, so both of them are fully retractable. Autumn? Yours is being all cute and mine's being all annoying.
That's a difference. That's we swapped. They swapped.
Very meowy. So yeah, it was a good trip. Got to get some good food, do some fun activities.
Yeah, it looked like you had so much fun. There was like a you did like an indoor putt golf thing. That looked really
was fun yesterday.
They have one of those in Chicago, and I think we should go up and do it.
It was fun. It was kind of bar scene where you can get some drinks and stuff and hang out. And it was like $14 a person, which is like whatever. It was 9 holes, but it was interactive. It was good, and it's nice to travel with people that are okay to like also go back and just chill and relax and like rest for 3 or 4 hours or whatever, and it's not a big deal. So that's nice to travel with similar minded, like, hey, we're not gonna go and we don't have to follow the plan to a T and have everything planned out beforehand, but we can kind of like communicate about what we want to do and then do the thing, or split up. Like one time we split up. Amanda and I went to the JFK 6th floor museum thing out in Dallas, the JFK assassination site thing. We went there, and then Rachel and Elizabeth went to the art museum.
Yeah, that is nice. Like, I felt the same way when traveling with you guys. It's so nice to like be with people that I don't know how your like childhood experiences were with like traveling or like going places. Like for me, one of like the biggest one one of like the I guess most outstanding memories is like my family in like Disneyland or something like that, and it's always like go 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 go, have to hit all these spots, blah blah blah. And like the last time I went to Disneyland, I went with my two friends, and they were like, yeah, we don't have to do that, it's fine. And I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like, I do want to get my money's worth.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go outrageous with something and spend a ton of money that, and I don't expect others to spend a ton of money for something that they're like barely interested in.
Right.
So, and it doesn't have to be like a ton of money, but even if it's like, hey, we go into this museum for $20 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like if you don't want to be doing it, it's not just $20. It's 2 or 3 hours of your life that you got to be doing this thing that you're not
For
interested
sure.
in for the sake of the people that are really interested in it. So,
Yeah. That's why I travel alone a lot because well, I mean it's like just one of those things I've not really ever found people that I match with on a like I don't know, not an emotional level, but like just a doing things level. Like
mm-hmm.
I just want to like stroll around town, maybe hit up a farmer's market, you know, walk through Trader Joe's because I'm a fucking weirdo. Like, you know, I just want to live like you live there, and most people are like, "Let's go do all the things." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well,
Yeah, the first day we just kind of walked around this little shopping area that we kind of stumbled upon because we
yeah,
needed burn time before checking in the Airbnb. And, you know, there was a pottery studio there, and I checked in there and saw what was going on. And then there was other shops, and there was a plant shop, and you just kind of find things that you can split off. Like there's a record store, and I went to the record store, and they kept walking through the other shops that
right,
were nearby, and you can split up. And like if it was just Rachel and I'm sure we would have hit a bunch of like vintage shops and thrift shops, and we would have
yeah,
went to different areas that have that kind of stuff. But like they're not as much into that, and we didn't want to just go to just spend money and buy things.
yeah,
So it's kind of like picking and choosing what you want to do, and like everything was framed around like baseball games, and then figuring out what we do with the other time outside of that, and then just
yeah."
what do you want for dinner and all that. Like it was fine. So
What other baseball stadiums do you need to go to?
I need to go to Seattle.
Okay,
I need to go to the New York Mets.
okay,
I need to go to the Atlanta Braves.
okay.
And I think that might be all of them,
How did
actually.
we not go to the Atlanta Braves when we were down there?
Well, because we were just passing through there, and they probably didn't have a game that weekend, or they did, and we just didn't plan for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking one more time. Globe Life, Kansas City, yeah, Houston. Yeah, I mean the Texas one was the biggest like two that were close to each other that I could knock out at one time, so that was pretty nice. Uh, yeah, I've been to all the rest of these. Yep.
Seattle,
So
the Seattle, it used to be Safeco Field, but now it's T-Mobile Stadium or some shit like that. It has a retractable roof as well because it rains, not because it's cold, but
yeah,
because it rains. And
T-Mobile
so,
Park is what it's called.
yeah,
It looks like it has real grass though, which is nice.
it does. And so originally it was the Kingdom, and the Kingdom was fucking dope. And then they tore down the Kingdom and put up the Safeco Field. And then, because Safeco Insurance is in Seattle. And then T-Mobile bought it out.
The rights, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So,
just three. Truest Park, but technically I have been to Atlanta, but since they built the newest one in 2017, I haven't been to that one.
got it,
But
got it,
I,
got it.
but I went to Turner Field back probably when I was 13 or something.
Okay. Well, I would like to go to the Seattle one with you if it ever works out.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
love
we
baseball.
definitely have to be flying there for some reason. Like, I'm guessing we'd fly there and venture and see some of Washington, Vancouver on the
Yep.
other side. I don't know. Is that? That's on the other side of Seattle, right? Up in Canada?
Canada.
Yeah.
Well, there's two Vancouvers. There's Vancouver, Washington, and there's Vancouver, Canada. Vancouver, Washington is south by Portland, and Vancouver, Canada is north. So,
Right.
but it's probably like 4 hours away from Seattle, I would say, maybe 3. And then like Victoria Island is over there in Canada. Like doing a Canada trip is fun.
Mm-hmm. I haven't been to that part of Canada. We've only been to like Toronto and did we go anywhere else? We'd like to go to Montreal, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just 3 more on the list. Okay, I didn't count how many there were, but I think there's about 30 here. I didn't.
We believe you.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. Oh, look, it says they're going to build a new one in Las Vegas for the
What?
Las Vegas Athletics. Well, it says proposed, I guess. Technically, it's not official, set in stone yet, but
Well, that's going to be an easy one to hit.
2027. Yeah, that'll be easy. We go through. Well, we go through there in January. It's not going to be baseball season in January for the Claycon West, so we'd have to make a separate trip.
That's a good point. Have you ever been to preseason?
Yeah, I went in 2018 or 20. No, it wasn't that recent. I think it was probably 2016 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while. We went to Arizona for that. Phoenix area.
Phoenix, yeah.
Because they have it in Phoenix and then they have it in like St. Pete, Florida, and some other cities in Florida. But
I really wanted to go to the Arizona one, but I've never been.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, it's intimate. It kind of feels like a AAA baseball stadium feel. It's not
right. Yeah,
it's not the same as going to a major league.
It's supposed to feel like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and usually it's a bunch of Joe Schmoes playing, and maybe the stars will make an appearance at the beginning, and that's it.
Yeah.
But
for sure. Did you submit anything for Claycon West? We didn't really talk about it, but I submitted something for Claycon West.
Not yet. I need to. I think I want to do a business kind of thing, like maybe the bookkeeping thing, or like the Square side of organizing that, how I use that to organize and show me what's selling and what's not selling and all, like maybe some of that, but I don't know how that would expand for an hour and a half. I know the bookkeeping I probably could expand for an hour and a half, but
yeah,
I don't know if that's going to be useful for people to just watch me talk about shit like that.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like most people would be like, "Oh, I didn't know that."
What did you submit for?
I submitted for a jewelry, doing a jewelry workshop.
Oh. Nice.
Yeah, I thought that, like, nobody's done that so far, so. And I mean, like, I don't know. They may reject me. They may not. I felt like it, but who knows?
Yeah. And then we can see, like, I don't know if it's even worth submitting one for the Wheel Talk thing, if we want to try another topic and see or not. I mean, you can do your own thing. I can do my own thing. It's fine.
Yeah. And I think that it's good to just be like, Joe, if somebody doesn't show up, we'll do it for Wheel Talk, you know?
Right. We can fill a spot if we need to, but.
Yeah. For shizzle.
All right. Do you want to answer a listener question here?
Sure.
I just realized I got these like bites on my arm. I think it was because I was pulling some weeds around the tree yesterday. I need to put some salve or something on it. Okay. First question is anonymous. I would like to remain anonymous as I'm embarrassed having worked in ceramics for so long and know as little as I do. I'm a part-time ceramic artist that makes a lot of random shit, including mugs and tumblers for drinking. I heard an episode where someone said you have to have insurance in case your mug breaks and someone spilled hot coffee on themselves or something like that. Do you guys have insurance for this? I had looked into it as part of my home policy, and it is $659 a year. As I only make about $10,000 before expenses, I wonder if you would know of a lower cost option. That is from Anonymous.
Anonymous. Yeah. So I don't know if we ever said you have to have insurance. I think we said it was probably a good idea. But
did you go for a period of time without it? Because I certainly did.
Oh, many, many years. I currently don't have it. I'm supposed to.
Yeah, it's kind of based on your risk tolerance and what the potential you would have, like how much you're selling and what risks are involved and the types of things you're selling and
whose studio you're in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like I am supposed to have liability insurance for my studio that I'm in, and up until April
supposed to
I
have
did.
Supposed to have it because of your landlord? Your landlord
yes.
expects it? Okay.
Yeah. And I will be getting it in the next couple months. I just need to make a little bit more money so that I like to pay it all up front. So, and I was trying to get a quote through Progressive, but also like I was on the phone to do it and they kept trying to transfer me and they couldn't transfer me. So then I was like, you know what? This is a sign. I'm just going to wait.
It's a sign I should wait for another day. I mean, that sounds miserable trying to wait on hold to figure that stuff out.
It was awful. And as far as I looked, the cheapest option is Progressive, from what I can tell. And that was like $4 something a year.
400 and something a year. And that's just strictly contents of your studio, the value of the contents in your studio?
I think it might have been both.
Fire.
Liability and...
Flood?
No, not flood. It's liability and like protection of wares or something. Like if somebody stole something or if like...
Right.
Your booth fell over and you lost all these things. But my past insurer was State Farm, and State Farm was like $400 just for liability, and then it went up to like $600, and that's why I ex-nayed them. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So, yeah.
Yeah, they have so much flexibility with what they can charge. Like, you wonder where their numbers are coming from because
right.
You're just some Joe Schmo off the street asking for a policy. Like, why would they give you any great deal?
And also, do not feel embarrassed or bad that you don't know this stuff because nobody teaches this stuff. So it's not like you'd have to go looking for it to find the answers. So how much do you pay?
So I actually I've only had my policy for about 2 years, maybe 3. Maybe this is my 3rd year. So I think I got it right in 2020. And I pay right now I'm paying $195 a quarter. So it's about $800 a year. That covers the value of the contents of my studio. And I gave them like an estimate of how much all the valuables are worth and stuff like that. And it also includes the show liability. I can't tell you the numbers of the liability coverage and all that stuff offhand
because probably $2 million. I
don't have the policy sitting in front of me, but pretty much any show that you do that's going to request a liability coverage, like it's going to be part of that coverage that I have. So, and the reason I started getting it was like, hey, I'm doing a lot more shows, so I'm exposing myself to more weather conditions. My pieces are more valuable. I have more inventory at shows. Like there's a bigger risk of me losing things and having big losses if some shit were to hit the fan. And then also my studio, like I have a home studio. My policy is through the same people that have my homeowners and my car insurance and things like that. And they're like, hey, you've got the small business. I got it quoted a couple years before I actually ended up paying for it. And they were like, if there was a fire from your kiln, like that would not be covered under your homeowner's policy because you're doing it as like a form of business. Like you're making revenue from it. It's not a hobby. And it wouldn't be covered. So they gave me the options a couple years before I started, and I didn't want to pay for it, so I waited it out. And then I started paying for it. I was like, you know what? I should be more used to do this business expense, because once I do this full time, like I don't want to have to incur that
Yeah.
expense all of a sudden and be like, okay, well now I'm shot $800 that I wasn't already accounting for. And that's the reason I started getting it. So you were going to ask something?
I was going to say, oh, I was like, this person that mentions like spilling a hot cup of coffee on you or whatever like that. I personally have never gotten insurance because of my fear of somebody else like doing something, cutting themselves or something, like suing me. It's mostly because of the fear of myself.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
me doing
you could
something.
have a fear that your booth neighbor doesn't have the right weights and stuff. Like that could be fear of somebody else, right?
Yeah, that could be fair,
Your
for
booth
sure. But I mean,
neighbor.
like what I'm saying is like that my pottery conflicted,
Yeah, you're going to get
afflicted.
sued because of something you made.
Right. I've never like thought that somebody's going to sue me, and so I think that if that's the only reason you're going to get insurance, I would say that very few people get insurance. Like I would say that very few people get sued. I mean, I don't know the stats, but I would
But yeah, that's
imagine.
probably based on your risk tolerance too. If
Yeah.
maybe you know somebody that got sued for something and you are like more worried about it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Like I'm not getting it because I think somebody's going to sue me. I'm getting it for my own peace of mind.
Right. And like when I had a brick and mortar, definitely need insurance for a brick and mortar because in that case, people are coming into your store, people are coming into your establishment. If you're teaching classes, that's when I would probably have it for sure because people will sue you in that case.
Yeah.
People
All
can
it
and
needs is
will.
like a bucket of throwing water that gets spilled on the floor. Somebody slips and falls. Like,
Yeah. Boom. Um so I think that if it's just you, and like you have your kiln in a shed in the backyard, I probably wouldn't get it because the amount of money that you're going to be spending in insurance versus the amount of money that it would cover if it was like a shed in the backyard sort of situation, and the probability of it going up in flames is a lot lower. But I'm also not like, don't take my advice. Like, you have to decide for yourself. But if it was me, I probably wouldn't, just because I know that I'd be able to cover it, and I'd be able to come back from that. If it was in the basement of my house, like you have it, yeah, I probably would. If it like,
mm-hmm.
you know,
Let's say it's in a detached garage and you're in this situation where it's $10,000 they're selling before expenses and they own the property. It's in their garage. Like, would you still, if your studio's on your property, would you still consider it? And you're selling that much?
if it was a detached garage, like actually detached, I probably wouldn't.
Probably depends on the value of your home and all that stuff too, right? If you're in a $500,000 home and your garage is part of it and
Right.
all that stuff, but like,
Well, and it's also like, how good was your electrician? Like, is it a sketchy setup? Are you are you running that kiln on less power than you should be running it? Like,
mm-hmm.
like in my old house that was from 1925, I'm surprised it didn't burn down just because of all the power I was pulling out of it. Like,
Yeah. That's a good
and
point. Like if you're like, I don't want to spend $1,000 to get an electrician to actually hook this up, and I get somebody else to hook it up that is not like double checking all the specs from everything, and they're like, they they know what they're doing, but it's not professionally done and all that stuff, and you've had issues or a plug's burned out. Like I feel like if a plug on your kiln cord burns out, like that'll probably get you real quick, and you're like, okay, like what could this have been?
oh yeah, that'll make you buy insurance so fucking fast. So freaking fast.
Because I
Like,
mean, ideally, you hope that the breaker's just going to trip and you'll be safe. But you've seen enough of those kiln cords being melted.
yeah, I've had a kiln cord melt to the kiln. It was
Yeah.
awful.
Well, I was thinking the plugs, but yeah, I could picture the cord could
Oh yeah, no, no,
also.
no. It melted to the kiln and then it lit on fire because of it. into the box and it completely fused itself to the box.
Yeah. I mean, we're working with like electricity, serious shit. So
yeah, electricity is super. Now that we're like talking about this more and more, I'm like, Becca, you really need to get liability insurance. Um, like it is really smart for us to have, especially if you're in like a space like I am. Even if your landlord doesn't require it, it's really smart to have. Uh, I mean, it's just I fucking hate insurance so much.
I think it should be something built in that you should need. That like you should be accustomed to paying it. It shouldn't be a nice to have thing.
Yeah.
It's just like your like health insurance or something. If you're small, like
Yeah.
you should probably be paying for some form of health insurance. If you like, what's the risk? Like in case something happens, you need to be
Yeah, but
ready.
I mean, like, get the cheap if it's something like that, get the cheapest option out there. Like, get the option that is going to be a pain in the ass to all the hoops to get through if something does happen, but you're paying half the price. Like, that's what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
It still covers you in
I'm
some
sure they
way.
have plans that are like high deductible. Like, are they deductible kind of things where like you have a high deductible and then it
I don't
covers certain
know.
things or that? I'm
The
thinking of that health insurance related, but maybe there's something similar.
the cheapest I found is like 400 and something. But that's not bad. 400 a year.
Yeah,
That's not bad.
that'll give you peace of mind for sure.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's like if you're selling 40 cups, that's 10 cups, man. $40 cups, 10 cups. Like do an insurance sale every year. Hey guys, I need to buy insurance this year and I've got 10 cups. They're $40 a piece. And if we could sell all these, then I could buy insurance.
There you go.
Boom.
And we've talked about ACT insurance every now and then. That's mostly for show liability.
Yeah, that's for shows.
I don't know that you can get just full on plans from them.
Yeah, I don't know either, but also with your regular plan, you can always like you just send it to them and like, "Hey, can you write this up?" and they'll make they'll just write it up
Add
and
the
send it
additional
on your way.
insureds on
Yeah.
there and send it off.
Yeah. So.
Sweet. All right, anonymous. Good luck. I'm sure that appealed to more than just this anonymous person.
Yeah,
So.
I mean it's so hard, and like we said, don't feel embarrassed. It's such a complex topic that is all up to you, not up to anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, a good thing is as well. Like, reach out to your current policy that you have of like, reach out to them and tell them you have this business that's growing and you want to know what options are. Like, don't feel like because you told them they're going to be like, well, we're going to put a asterisk on your homeowner's policy to let you know that like we're going to increase your rate because you told us you have a business and you're not getting it insured, so we're not going to help. Like, just get a quote, and it doesn't hurt to get a quote, and also get like quotes from different people and see what works. So
Yes.
do it.
Do it.
All right.
I'm gonna lay back in my chair.
Do you want to read the next one?
Yeah, I'll read the next one.
Do you see it?
I'm pulling it up. Pulling it up right now. Oh, it says discussion idea for the podcast. Moldy ceramics, staining, and vitrification. There's such limited info on this online. And when you type in mold, it just gives you slip casting molds. Thank you. Love the podcast. Earthen Goat. Earthen Goat.
Earthen Goat. Earthen Goat. All right. We're not going to get deep on this. I'm just going to basically refer you to other people that are way smarter than us about moldy ceramics, vitrification, stuff like that. So, for Flux Sake Podcast is what I'm going to point you to. I think I partially listened to this one, but it's titled something about moldy clay and whether it makes your clay more plastic. This is they don't have episode numbers, but it's from March 9th of 2022. And it says something about clay being more plastic, moldy clay being more plastic. I should have just wrote down the title.
We're giving you homework instead of us answering.
Because there's more knowledgeable people on this topic than we are.
For sure. I'm all for this.
It's called, Is My Moldy Bag of Clay Really More Plastic? So they're talking about mold growth and stuff like that. The only other mold growth thing is like certain clays will develop more mold. My white clay, for example, develops a lot of mold for my reclaim and things like that. I don't know what ingredients in it produces that. Maybe they talk about it on For Flux Sake. My speckled clay does not. Do you have clays that do more than others?
My speckled clay gets way more mold.
Actually, that's not true. My speckled clay does get mold, but when it's just in ball form. I don't notice it being super nasty moldy when it's being like in my slop bucket. And maybe that's partially because of the smell. Like I can smell the white clay way more.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely had white clay turn black. For sure.
So yeah, you can look them up about the plasticity. I do tend to I don't know, when you were in the studio and you had a bunch of reclaim, did you feel like it had some different properties to it when it was moldy versus
No.
No.
It does. It just smells more.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah, so I mean, I generally when I am mixing up reclaim and stuff like that, like I will take some of that slop from my throwing bucket. If you know how I throw, I keep a slop bucket separate from my water bucket, and any of the scraps that I take off go into the slop bucket, and then I throw it into a 5-gallon bucket to reclaim. And then I'll top that off with dry trimmings so that it's a mixture of dry trimmings with no water and then the slop and then maybe some throwing water to like resubmerge. So I don't know if there's different properties of fine clay particles in the slop bucket more so than like dry trimmings, but maybe that has something to do with the different plasticity as well.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but I've heard that the plasticity is mostly from how much water and how long it sits. And it's not like growing plasticity, it's more just like incorporating all the water and like melding together, you know?
Like having it all wedged together evenly, kind of?
Yeah, pretty much. Like Tim C will, if I remember correctly, he pugs out a bunch of clay. He doesn't de-air it or anything. He just pugs out a bunch of clay, sticks it in a bucket for 2 weeks so it like finds itself and like becomes one, and then he pugs it again.
That sounds so philosophical.
I know.
I'm gonna quarantine you in your cell for 2 weeks until you find yourself, and then you're ready to be emerged into a beautiful pot. Like
That's right. This is a soul-seeking experience.
Yeah, it's gonna find itself.
Yep.
I'll skip to the vitrification thing because there is another couple episodes about that from For Flux Sake. This is from November 11th of 2021. It's tied, and I want to say it's most likely on this episode or this other one I'm going to list. It's called The Gang Tackles Porosity and Clay Body Issues.
Porosity.
And then the other one is from 8/18 of 2021, which is titled Food Safe Glazes, Kiln Cooling and Sourcing Test Glazes, which was their second episode, or maybe that was their first episode ever.
Wow.
The only vitrification stuff that I remember from their discussion that I can't remember exactly which episode it was from, I think it was from one of those two, was that Matt is very keen on vitrification where the absorption level is lower than 1%.
Okay.
Is what he is in favor of. And I think they discuss a little bit more about like cone 6 clays versus cone 10 clays, and you can like what you truly need to get to reach that 0.5% or less than 1% absorption.
Right.
There's some people that believe, I would be in that camp, that believe that like 3.5% is okay and lower. I mean, I'm also not a scientist.
Has anybody died
so
from
like,
your pots?
What's that?
Has anybody died because of your pots?
No.
Well, there you go.
So I think it's just you know, generally I stick away from clays that are cone 6 to cone 10 because the vitrification and the absorption rates. Vitrification is not fully matured. The clay's not fully matured at cone 6, and that's what I fire to. So we've said it multiple times, but if you're firing a cone 6 to cone 10 clay and you're firing to cone 6, you're most likely not using it in the best way for it to be sold as functional wear, because you will have issues down the road of like glazes that don't fit, and then you have water absorbing into the pot, and then you have tea leaking out onto your tabletop or whatever.
Tisk, tisk.
Or I've had customers that brought back mugs that have like dark bottoms on white clay.
Ooh.
Gnarly. So it's like, what is that? What's going on here? It's most likely the clay's not vitrified. It's mold. Like,
yeah.
So that's kind of what I would say. I don't know. Do you have a line on the vitrification numbers? I mean,
no, I don't, because I feel I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. I'm just gonna sell my pots, and like I feel like 1%'s great. I think that Kentucky Mudworks is about 1%.
Yeah. I haven't tested it in a while, but
yeah, I haven't done it in a while.
It's one of those things. You get the clay. I mean, maybe I should retest it because they changed their clay body formula.
Yeah.
Recently, and in the last probably 6 months or so, and I should probably try it again to see. But you're pretty good if you're firing a cone 6 and the range of that clay is 5 to 7. Like you're sitting pretty.
I feel like there's so many people out there that are firing clay that are in the 3% tile situation, and their pieces have lasted years and years and years and years and years, and it's fine, Like,
it also depends on how you use it, how often you're using it. Like, are you dishwashing it? Are you microwaving it? Like, if somebody just drinks something out of it and then they hand wash it and put it back in their like, is it really getting used to the level that like the vitrification is going to help with longevity as well as just like quality of the piece long term, besides like functional longevity? Like, it'll look more like when you got it out of the kiln, I guess, if it's more fire to maturity.
For sure.
So, do you have anything about staining in here? Have you used some mason stains? I use some mason stains. There was a question.
I think that they were talking about staining as in coffee staining.
Are they? I thought they were talking about stains like moldy ceramics,
I think it's
staining, and vitrification.
I think it's like coffee staining.
Oh, like inside the pot?
Inside the cup. Yeah.
Okay. Autumn, what the fuck?
I don't know if there's an issue with staining. I mean, well, I guess. I mean, like, I sell wine glasses, and the wine doesn't stain the inside white, like the white red. It's like, I think if the clay and the glaze fit well together, it won't stain as much. I think that eventually it will stain. I mean, right?
I think it depends on the liquid you're putting in it. Like, I mean, one way I've gotten stains out, I think you taught me this, to do the hot liquid with baking soda and just let it sit, and then you scrub it after 15 minutes or 30 minutes, and you'll get the stain out. Even if there's like crazing and stuff like that, there's some staining.
Right.
And if a customer comes back to me and they have staining issues, like, sometimes I'll just feel really nice and just give them a replacement. Most of the time I'll do that. If they're willing to like reach back out, like just as a sign of good customer service, I'll do that. So
yeah, that's just a wild concept to me, because like naturally I feel like matte glazes are going to stain more, than shiny glazes because they're matte and they don't resist as much, because they're matte. And so, I mean, like, that's why you would probably never want to put like a matte glaze as a liner glaze. But people still do sometimes. And yeah, I don't know. That's why you should just make all your interiors black.
Or yeah, I was about to say that. Like, also you could consider using darker colors on the inside that are like pretty solid, pretty trusting, glossy glazes. Like floating blue is a good one for me. That is like very reliable, good old reliable, and
Yeah,
yeah. So like I go with that.
for sure. 100%.
All
Yeah.
right,
Uh,
that's the questions.
that's the questions. Do you know what I did today? I forgot to tell you what I did today.
What?
I I guess I have kind of like a new gig at the Harrison Center, which is one of the it's like an art center. It's called Art Mix, and they work with um, mentally disabled adults who like make a bunch of pottery and stuff, and then they sell it, and that money goes back into the program, and it's just like a program for these guys to actually have work and like do stuff. And they just got a brand new L&L kiln, and they have an older L&L kiln. You see how I transitioned there so nicely. And
Oh.
yeah, that was really good. And so the older L&L kiln, their kiln tech, or the person that was working on the kilns, didn't do it right. And so it like something got messed up, and it got fused, and they had to buy all these new things. And so I came in and I rewired repositioned the elements, like, just made them in the right way, and like put everything in its place, and then essentially rewired the kiln, and we put an element in the bottom, and yeah, and I haven't heard back. I should text her and see if we did, we fired it fast to see if it worked. And so yeah, that's like my new gig. I'm their new like kiln tech person.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but it was nice to work on a brand new L&L, like a newer than the last one that I'd worked on, because the last one was from 1997, and it was a hot mess express on the inside, but the newer ones are very similar to the old ones in the way that you do the elements. It's wild that like they found the system that works really well, and they just kept with it. And I
Yeah.
really like that system where you're moving the elements around like the bolt, and then just putting washers on, and that's your electrical current. I really like that system, instead of like having to put
The
like cut.
pins and the crimping and the
Yeah,
cutting.
like the crimping, like, oh my god, crimping wires, the crimping elements is so hard. It's like just even cutting these elements for the L&L was just, I could barely do it because
I
they're
was waiting to
thick.
like lose an eye when you cut. I mean, you still got to cut the things, but it's like
I know. I had somebody help me, and she's like, I just feel like it's gonna hit me in the eye. And I was like, well, close your eyes. Like, just close your eyes
put
when
some
you do it.
glasses on. I mean, I still had glasses on, but it's like
Yeah, and so and they're like beefy fucking elements because these are the big 10 cubic foot kilns.
oh, okay. I
So
was gonna ask what type of kiln it was or how
yeah,
big it
so
was.
they're larger, but it was nice to work on the new ones because they have like a full ceramic like brick almost that the elements come out of. I snapped one of them in half.
Ew.
That was fun. It was not my fault though. It was not my fault.
Wasn't your
I
fault? Why?
No. So one of the screws that came out of the ceramic plate, they're supposed to be loose, right? And then you just bolt them on so that they don't move. And you put like a nut next to it so it doesn't move. And I tightened one and then it fucking snapped the screw. I don't know how. And then when I was trying to get the screw out, it was like stuck inside of the ceramic piece. So I had to like use a hammer to like chisel it out. And when I was using the hammer, it snapped it in half. So I do not know if this was the right way to do it, but I just put some E6000 on that sucker, taped it together, and then came back the next day and it worked fine. So
nice.
We will see if we have failure in that regard. But it was cool to see how like the newer ones are kind of like set up and how they're working. I will say that I don't ever want to put elements in the bottom of a 10 cubic foot kiln ever again. Because the kiln is taller than I am and you lose all of the blood in your head. So that
you mean
sucks.
all the blood rushes to your head?
Yeah, it like rushes to your head and it's just basically pouring out of your eyes. So that was awful, but other than that, it was great. These ones didn't have the Genesis controller.
It didn't? Okay.
No, it has the regular controller, but I think all of the brand new ones have the Genesis controller, right?
They do. They all include the Genesis touchscreen upgrade, which has the app associated with it, so you can track it and connect to Wi-Fi and all that good stuff. It's not an extra fee to get the Genesis touchscreen.
Right, and all the other kilns, it would be an extra fee, I would imagine, all the other companies. So that's really nice. You can still get the old one if you prefer that one. Like, I tend to prefer the older one, just because it's...
The Dynatroll.
The Dynatroll.
Which basically looks like a Bartlett controller, which you've probably seen on other kilns, but yeah.
I like that one because it's simple. You know, I did like the Genesis, though. You get to, like, you can save programs in the Genesis, which is really nice.
Yeah, it looks like you could save it. You can name them what you want.
Yeah. Yep. And,
Fire time on here.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
It is nice. The Genesis is really nice.
And then there is the option if you want to upgrade the board. You can always do that. If you have a Dynatroll and you want to upgrade it, or you're going to... Yeah.
Right, like, I would never pay extra for a Genesis ever again, but if it came with it, I'd be like, hell yeah. You know?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yep.
And while we were talking this whole time, I was looking at hotkilns.com.
Hotkilns.com.
I was trying to see the ceramic thing you were saying that got broke, but I couldn't exactly find it.
Oh, yeah, it's just like a panel. It's a panel. It's probably like, I want to say it's like 3.5 inches by maybe 5 inches. And it's what the holes come out of. Like, in the older kilns, they just have little ceramic knobs that go over the element and into like a hole.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just to protect the heat from getting to the panel, essentially.
Okay, I got what you're talking about. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, hotkilns.com.
Yeah, so we'll see if I light a fire in that kiln with the E6000.
Hopefully not. Fingers crossed.
I think it'll be fine. I did consider putting glaze in it. Like putting glaze in it so it would just melt.
Oh my gosh.
Wouldn't that be great?
That doesn't sound like a good idea. Wait, it's actually like inside the kiln though?
No, it's not inside the kiln.
Okay,
it's
then
inside
would
the
it get to temperature?
No, it won't get to temperature.
Okay, so then the glaze would not work as you were intending it to work.
What you should do, I guess what you could do is you would take it off. If you had another kiln, you'd put it in another kiln, connect it with cone 10 glaze, and then fire it to cone 10 so it's totally together, and then put it on. And then it would never melt, for sure.
Could you get a replacement part?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
That would probably not risk your expensive kiln?
100%.
Okay, yes. Maybe do that.
Yes.
That's probably like a $5 replacement part.
$5 foot long.
They haven't had those for years, I don't think. I
Oh
don't
no,
think
it was like
$5 foot long is a thing of the past.
it was like $6, and then it went to like $7.50.
Oh my gosh. When's the last time you had Subway? Do you have Subway very often?
I fucking love Subway.
I haven't had it in years. Probably at least 4 years.
My uncle wanted Subway for dinner in January, and that's when. You know what? I've probably had it since then. I'll stop and get a Subway.
What's your go-to?
Yeah, I'm such a fucking simplest. I get a Black Forest ham with American cheese, lettuce, and olives. And I don't know why. Like, I like
No
other
mayo
things.
or anything like that on it?
No, sometimes I put herbs and the olive, like the vinegar and the olive. But,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I used to get, like, an Italian BMT with all the things and, like, toast it and everything. And I don't know why. I think it just reminds me of my childhood. It's just such a simple sandwich, you know?
Okay. I was the sweet onion chicken teriyaki as my go-to. And
Oh,
I started getting that back when it first came out. I think it
wow.
first came out back in the shit. I was probably in my teens, maybe 15. Maybe it came out 15 years ago, something like that.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah, I was so back when I was a teenager, I was working at the Louisville Science Center.
Ooh.
It was a volunteer program. We were called Volunteens.
Valentines.
It was a volunteer program. You did it over the summer, and it was just a way for you to learn get some experience under your belt, as well as like stick to a schedule. You would go in there. I think it was I think it was 1 day a week. We'd go
Okay.
in there, and you'd volunteer for a whole day, and you'd go around and basically do little experiments at different locations throughout the building. You'd be doing some, and you're basically demonstrating some science to this little activity you're doing, and you kind of like communicate with children and like young adults and whoever's at the science center that day. It's a lot of like school groups and shit like that, and you're basically just teaching them little science experiments, and that's how I like doing the little shrinky dinks.
Oh, fucking
You
love
remember
Shrinky
those?
Dinks.
Yeah, so that was fun. I did that for about I think I did that for 4 years. I did it all
Wow.
throughout I think it was throughout all of high school, or maybe it was like seventh, eighth grade, and then freshman, sophomore kind of thing. And it was pretty good. It gave me some good experience, and then I ended up being like a day leader or whatever, where like there were a couple people that were like the most experienced teens that would
Yeah.
lead that day of the week. So I did that for I think a year, maybe 2 years. So that
That's
was interesting.
amazing.
You get to watch IMAX films sometimes.
Oh, that's the
You get to
best.
like your work that day was like working the IMAX, which is just basically sitting in the back doing nothing.
That's fucking
Not for the
great.
whole day, but just like for certain periods of
Yeah.
time, you'd like get scheduled to man the IMAX theater,
Hell yeah.
which is just sitting in the back watching and helping people out if they have issues or something.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. What's the topic for the day?
Well, I can tell, like, that me and just be prepared. Ryan and I, look at me. Look at me.
Ryan
Ryan
and
and
I,
I,
what the fuck is the world coming to?
what is going on?
Becca is speaking grammar.
Ryan and I are about to be in argument debate mode. If you've never experienced Ryan in debate mode, it is infuriating sometimes. So here we
I'm
go.
probably infuriating non-bit debate mode as well.
I don't think so.
I heard that a little bit a couple episodes ago where I was being very analytical about the pricing for the shipping, non-shipping, and you were getting irritated. You were like, what the fuck? Just charge whatever you want. Like, there should be no thought to this. Just do whatever the fuck you want. You deserve the money. I feel like, is Becca just trying to get out of this conversation
I
or what?
was. I'm sure I was. Oh. Anyway.
All right, so debating
our
about today.
our topic is Chat GPT. And for the old, well, maybe not old, but the unelectronical type people like I am, who just found out about this a week ago, Ryan, would you like to explain what ChatGTP is?
Oh gosh. All right, I was just
To
going
the
to
best
read
of your
off
abilities.
of the openai.com, which is the, I guess, owner or who runs ChatGPT right now. All right. We've trained a model called ChatGPT, which interacts in a conversational way. The dialogue format makes it possible for ChatGPT to answer follow-up questions, admit its mistakes, challenge incorrect premises, and reject inappropriate requests. So it's basically like a language model tool that you can interact with, and there's AI behind it that is meant to answer your questions that you ask.
Right. And it's like a learning tool. So when you introduce one thing and like, let's say you keep having conversations with it, it can remember that one thing from like back in the past and like implement that in current discussions as well. Yes.
So it's basically like prompt. You put a prompt in there to it. It responds. You could provide more context. You could get a more detailed response. You could provide even more context, get an even more detailed response. You know, reword this, but also add this flair to it or this adjustment or.
Right. So my friend Nick, I was hanging out with him and he was telling me about it and I was like, what the fuck is this? And so he kind of like explained it to me. And so I found out that they actually have an app now for Apple. I don't know if they have it for Android, but they have an app for Apple. And so I downloaded the app and just started having like little conversations. So my friend has one just about his business, kind of like for ideas and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, you can, it'll like just tell you how to do something or whatever. And so I was like, okay, well, what's my biggest downfall? Like with Etsy and listing things, it's like getting the tags, and finding like the right words to put in a title and all those things. So I was like, hey, I own a business, blah, blah, blah. And I told it all about my business. And then I was like, could you write me an Etsy listing? And it was like magic. Fucking magic. And it gave me a title that had like all of the right words, like the fancy words. And then Ryan was like, well, isn't that plagiarizing? And I was like, I don't know.
No, you were like, no, it's not.
I said no. And he was like, I think it is. And so that's what we're talking about today. is
So what is an example of what you used it for? What is a specific thing that you did with it?
Okay. Let me get my computer out. So I used it for Etsy. Let me get to my Etsy and get to a listing. Listings.
I actually want to try this live too because I'm.
You have to like give it some things, you know? Okay, so for instance, this is the listing for. Oh, that's the wrong price. I gotta change that. I'm glad we're doing this. So this is a listing for the yellow handcrafted speckled clay hoop earrings, modern and tumbled, 0.75-inch statement earrings, hypoallergenic titanium ear wires. That was the title that it gave me. And then it said, and then the description, I was like, could you make me a description, please? And it says, Elevate your style with these captivating speckled clay hoop earrings. Handcrafted with love and attention to detail, each earring features a hoop made from speckled stoneware clay, creating a unique and organic texture. The hoops are then carefully dipped in vibrant and mesmerizing underglaze colors, adding a pop of artistic flair to your look. Measuring at 0.75 inches, these statement earrings are the perfect blend of modern simplicity and eye-catching elegance. The smooth and tactile surface is achieved through a meticulous tumbling process, ensuring a soft and comfortable feel against your skin. These hoop earrings are not only stylish but also hypoallergenic. They are thoughtfully designed with titanium ear wires, making them suitable for those with sensitive ears or metal allergies. Now you can enjoy fashionable accessories without any worries. With their lightweight design, these hypoallergenic hoop earrings are perfect for everyday wear and special occasions. They effortlessly complement any outfit, adding a touch of contemporary, sophisticated style. Sophistication to your spot. Wow, this is very long. Each pair of earrings is handmade with care, making them truly one of a kind. Variation in speckles and glaze patterns ensure that no two pairs are identical, making your earrings a unique expression of your individuality. Upgrade your jewelry collection with these stunning speckled clay hoop earrings. Embrace the combination of artistic craftsmanship, modern design, tactile beauty, and hypoallergenic comfort. Add them to your cart now and enjoy the perfect blend of style and peace of mind.
So much fluff that Becca would never come up with from her own brain
100%
in
true.
a million years.
150% true. I would literally say, these are made out of clay. They're this big.
They're very soft.
Shipping's going to take about a week.
I actually just plugged in one. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I basically just write a product description for this Etsy listing, and it's a published Etsy listing that's in my shop. And it gives me about 5 paragraphs.
Wait a second.
Shorten this.
Did you put in the
I put in a link to it.
Oh.
And then I was like, shorten this to 2 paragraphs. And we'll see what it says. And then you could be like, shorten this to 3 sentences. Okay, I'll read a 3-sentence one.
Okay.
Speckled ceramic shot glass. It's one of my bestsellers, whatever. Elevate your drinking experience with our handcrafted speckled ceramic shot glass. Wheel thrown with precision, each piece showcases unique variations and a delicate speckled finish for a touch of elegance. Perfect for serving spirits and liqueurs, this durable and one-of-a-kind shot glass is a must-have addition to your barware collection or a thoughtful gift for any occasion. That's a lot of fluff.
I would buy that.
So, I think we were kind of starting off with, okay, is it
unethical?
Is it a tool for, I guess first, is it plagiarizing to copy and paste what ChatGPT has spit out and put it directly into your listing? That's the most simplest way to use it, would be to plug something in. If I just take that description that it just gave me and I pasted that into my Etsy description and just copied it, put it across all the ones that matched it, that were just like it, is that plagiarism?
Right. And I think you should ask ChatGPT.
Ask him what?
Is it plagiarizing to put this description into my Etsy? Because it might say yes and it might say no. We don't know.
Is it plagiarism to copy and paste this into my Etsy listing? It says, I am an AI language model and I cannot provide legal advice. However, it is generally considered best practice to write original content for your Etsy listing rather than copying and pasting from another source, even if it's modified. Creating unique and personalized descriptions can help showcase the authenticity and value of your product. If you need assistance, I can help you generate original content tailored to your specific product. So basically, you could just keep asking follow-up questions to like further tailor what you're requesting. But
so it
in the
literally
end,
said,
if you're just
wait,
copying and pasting,
in that it says you shouldn't copy and paste, but if you need help figuring something out that's tailored to you, I can provide that with you. It literally just said you
if you
shouldn't
need
do it, but
assistance,
also I'll do it for you.
If you need assistance, I can help you generate original content tailored to your specific product. But that doesn't mean it still wants you to copy and paste it. That's like go back to sentence 2.
Right.
It's generally considered best practice to write original content for your Etsy listing rather than copying and pasting from another source, even if it's modified.
Okay. But is it illegal?
As of right now, I don't think it's illegal right now. I think it's more frowned upon. I think it's a moral question.
Here's my issue. Here's or not my issue, but here's my thought, I suppose. I, as an artist, if you want to call me that, an artist, whatever, I should not have to do this anyway. Like, I shouldn't have to do Etsy. I shouldn't have to, like, write a fucking description about my thing because the picture is what should be selling it, right? The only reason the words matter is because of the SEO and getting it like viewed more. So like I'm actually fine with not having it write the description, but like it's really important for the tags, for the title. Like there's so many things out there, like it's just like a tool to help you get ahead. And
is that tool cheating? Is that plagiarism? Is that
but it's not even like it can't be like
why should you why is it not required of you to write a description? Why is it not? Does Etsy require you to write a description?
No.
Okay, then if this thing didn't even exist, you would still have to write something.
I still write a stupid description.
So you're trying to use the tool to give you better visibility.
Yeah, but they're not going to buy it because of my description. They're going to buy it because of the fucking picture. But they wouldn't have
found the thing without your description that is targeting keywords and all this stuff, right? There's a potential that people could not have found you without your description that you didn't write.
Exactly. That's why you should be using this.
But what I'm saying is that could be seen as not your doing. Like that's not coming directly from you because you copied and pasted from the tool.
If I like gave it to a friend and he did it, is that different? Like Andrew's done that for me.
I would feel like it would at least be a little bit more acceptable to do that because it came from somebody's brain, not something that pulled from many different sources and just spit it out to you with literally 30 seconds of work on your side. I don't know.
I did more than 30 seconds of work. I've fucking been working on this shit. I'm like inputting all of my information in to this thing. I'm like, hey, this is what I do. I'm using this. I'm doing this. This is the clay. Blah blah blah.
Into writing one listing?
Yeah, like I've been talking to this chat GPT thingy for like a week.
Okay. How much time would it have taken you to do those listings on your own? If you didn't have if you weren't talking to chat GPT?
Oh, they'd never happen.
If you had to sit down and do it on your own, so the only way you're doing it is because it's fun to interact with chat GPT because it's basically doing all the hard thinking for you, right?
Well, it's not fun, but it's just like I just like don't understand why we can't like use these fucking tools to make our life easier.
You can use it. Nobody's stopping you from using it. We're talking about, is it plagiarism first, and then is it questionable, or is it a moral question? What could there be down the road? Like, could there be systems that would block you being able to save that in the future? We're still early on. Like, I wouldn't put it past Etsy putting AI checks that validate that your content is actually yours. Or does Etsy have a way that you could pay them a subscription to use a chat GPT interface to help you write descriptions? And it's just a way for them to make money while they leverage a service like that, where Becca would pay $5 a month to help her with generating content.
Or do you pay it directly to chat GTP and say, like, I'm paying you so I can use all of this stuff scotch-free?
That could be. I mean, right now it's free, but at some point,
I would, if it came down to that, I would fucking pay somebody. I would pay the fucking company however much money. Like, if it was $5 a month, I would
pay. I think it would be more acceptable if the entity you're paying is familiar, it knows that you're using it. Like, it feels like you're kind of pulling a fast one on Etsy a little bit. And also, I don't know. But if Etsy's offering the service, then I feel like it's a little more like there's an understanding that, like, we have sellers using this and we encourage them to use it for a fee versus you paying some other service. Like, you could pay somebody to go do your photographs, and that's a service you're paying for, and then they give you the photographs, right?
Yeah.
And then you can use them. You have the rights to use them.
Yeah, so, like, what's the difference between paying somebody for photograph? Like, let's not, like, let's imagine that let's say it's a $5 a month subscription to chat GTP, okay? What's the difference between paying somebody to do photos for you and putting them up onto Etsy as opposed to paying chat GTP to write you
GPT.
Whatever.
GPT.
To write you a listing and you paying for that? Like, there's no difference. One's a fucking computer and one's a person, but there's no difference.
What's the chance of somebody else having the exact same thing if a person wrote it versus the chat AI writing it? I think there's more of a chance of somebody, like, especially if I was like, write me a description for this listing. Like,
I'll bet you if I gave it to Patty with 2 eyes and told her to write me a fucking description, she could get pretty damn close. She's really good at writing.
But I would trust that it would be more unique from one person's brain than typing it into.
Yeah, but ethically it doesn't. Ethically, it's not different.
What?
But, like, as far as ethics are concerned, it's the same. You're paying an entity or you're paying a person. You can't pick and choose.
I think the risk of having someone else having the exact same content is what I'm trying to avoid. You're avoiding having the exact same words copied and pasted
as somebody else.
That's what I'm going for. What are the odds that somebody else has the exact same thing as me? I think the chat AI is more likely to produce that result than you reaching out to Patty with 2 eyes.
Yeah, but, like, okay, what are the odds of...
I get it. It's up to you to tailor it to yourself.
GPT,
just like
creating the exact
then P, then T.
Same answer for someone else.
I mean, it's all dependent on the prompt you give it, right?
Does Chat GPT give the same answer to everybody? No, Chat GPT does not give the exact same answer and wording to everyone who asks the same questions. While it may generate similar responses for identical... While it may generate similar responses for identical or similar queries, It can also produce different responses based on the specific context, phrasing, and quality of input provided by each user. So if you're providing quality input to it, like if you're like taking the time to educate this chat bot so that it's creating something very specific, then it's not any, like, I would say that it's very similar to giving it to, I don't know, somebody on the internet that you're just like, hey, could you write me up a response? This is what I have, blah, 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 blah. Like, this is my business. Could you make it sound nice?
Yeah. I guess it's just, I think somebody has to use their own, I was going to say use your own brain to write the content. In a sense, you could make the argument that you're using your brain to ask it the right questions so you get the certain answer that you're looking for that meets your needs.
I mean, it's very similar. It's very similar to should you be using commercial glazes or regular, or like make your own glazes? It's the same thing. Is it cheating? No. I mean, some people might think it is, but it's really not.
Is it because this thing is free right now that it feels like cheating because you're spending nearly zero cost to get something?
Is it cheating or is it being resourceful?
You could say it's being resourceful. I just think it's a little questionable to take the content and just blanket copy and paste it to everything. But on, like, I just think some of it is producing like so much fluff that it's like it's not really, you can tell that it's not you if they know your stuff, but maybe you're not appealing to people that know you already. You're trying to appeal to broad group of people. And it seems like some of the descriptions are so fluffy that it's like so salesy.
Yeah.
That it feels icky. And I think that's where it's like not as good for like beneficial, that it doesn't feel natural.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't read this out to a customer at a show. Like my speckled shot glass with its delicate speckled finish and durable ceramic construction, it offers both elegance and functional for savoring your favorite spirits and style. Like that just sounds like, dude, like
maybe you would sell more.
You sound like a fucking robot. No, people want to be like talked with and like talk about like how they're going to use it, and I don't know.
I know. I guess
it feels so robotic, and if people know you, they know that that's not you writing it.
I guess but here's the thing. Here's the thing though. Like what I do on the internet every single day is not me. Right? Like I'm fucking like trying to fucking sell my soul on the internet right now because I'm just trying to get people to buy my shit. Right? And like that's not me. I couldn't give two shits. Like I don't want to do that shit. I don't want to do it. But if I could like, and I'm going to be salesy regardless. Like I have to sell my things. So I have to be salesy. And if I can have something else do that instead of me doing it, it makes it so much more tolerable for me as a human selling than, and like, especially on something like Etsy where it's so saturated that it almost doesn't even matter. Like it's just a fucking game anyway. It's a game just to get to the top. You know? Like somebody could use the right words that they magically know and become a millionaire on Etsy and have a shit product while I'm over here that has a quality product and I don't have the right words, but I can't get anywhere because I don't know what to do. Right? Mm-hmm. So like for me, it like ethics aside, like I might actually start putting, I'm using Chatbox whatever because I'm not smart enough to do this on my own. I might start putting that on the bottom because that would be fucking hilarious.
Chatbox TPC on here.
Yeah. CBD, Chatbox CBD. I
Chatbox
might start
ADHD.
doing that just because it is fucking hilarious, you know? But like But like for me to do that, like
on your own without any
right,
separate tool.
I wouldn't be able to do that, and I think it is just a tool to help you do something better. You know? I mean, like now here's a question. You are making money because of it, but you're technically making money because of your art. So it's
But
like,
people wouldn't have found your art potentially without ChatGPT assisting.
yeah, but you could do a Google search and see the right, like, you could, like, okay, ChatGPT, like, you're not selling your stuff because of your goddamn stupid, fluffy, like, description. You're selling stuff because it popped up in,
I mean,
uh,
the photographs are what's going to show, but
right,
part of the search algorithm is looking at your text and your keywords and
right.
things
So,
like that.
but the keywords you can Google, and that's not quote unquote cheating. And like I was like, "Hey, could you give me some keywords that would be good that match my business blah blah blah." And I was like, "Yeah, these are the ones that would work." And so I inputted those. I don't feel like that's cheating at all. That's actually just being smart. Like I could do that to Google and it would probably give me the exact same words, right? Uh and the description I don't think is really selling your piece. It's just like words that are there. I barely ever read descriptions, but the title and the keywords are really what's pushing you up in Etsy,
I
right?
mean,
And
it depends on
in
the
your picture.
customer, right? You personally don't read the description, but for
Right.
somebody that's looking for something that holds a certain amount of liquid or
Right.
something that has a certain function or how big the hoop is, I don't know. Do you have people that are like, how wide is the hoop on your earring?
Well,
So
yeah,
I
but that's
know
all in the description. Like that's all in the
the
title
description.
essentially. Yeah, but I would put that in there anyway.
Okay.
That's like a fact. That's not fluff. That's a fact that
Right.
you have to have. Um
I mean, at the end of the day, the earring is a fucking earring. Like, people know what
right.
earrings are. They
It's a
know what
fucking earring.
colors are.
Like they
They
want
know
to know
what
if it's
the size is.
hypoallergenic and if it's what it's made out of. Like that's what they need and what color it is. Um
So could you go with the most simplified description with a good title? Maybe you use the chat to help you with the title.
the
I don't
title
I don't think
and
that's as questionable with the title. Like, you're
yeah.
literally just going for searchability, and
Yeah.
most likely you're going to have the most common interest information in there anyways, that it's an earring, it's colorful or available in multiple colors or whatever. And um and then the keywords are going to also help you, which you can Google or you can use the chat to help you with understanding keywords. Like, and people can't even see the keywords
No.
as a customer. So that's where I don't think, though, like the title, little like what, maybe, I don't know, but you can assume once we get to a point, like, a lot of people are going to be using it, so you're going to be fighting the same thing that a lot
Keywords.
of people are already going to be using as well.
Right, unless you are really putting in the time to say like this is my business, this is our what we stand for, this is the product, this is what it looks like, this is what it's made out of. Like you're putting in that time to like get those specific
And
keywords.
that's where the getting searchable and finding new customers is not like ChatGPT could help you find new customers, but it doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily mean you're going to resell to the same customers, or
right. For sure.
like that's on you to figure out how to
Yeah.
optimize and how to give people incentives to come back to you.
Right. So for you, the kicker is more the description, not the other things.
Yeah. Or like an artist statement is a good example. Like, I think that should come from you. I don't think you should just be copying and pasting that,
That's fair.
because it's you. Like, you're explaining how you do what you do. I don't think that should be copy and pastable. That should come from your brain. Even if you feel like you're limited on how good you can explain yourself, like, you should be able to explain yourself
Yeah.
in a way that if somebody were to ask you what kind of work do you produce, you should be able to talk about it. You can't be like, oh well, I don't have my artist statement written that I can remember what I wrote. Like,
yeah,
because you didn't actually write it. I don't know. Or like submitting an application with an artist statement that was written by the chat. Does that feel questionable?
I think yeah, I don't think that I would do that. I don't think I would do that.
What about
Now,
captions for like posts?
I did one caption for a post.
Did you put at the bottom written by Chat GPT or
I
something
did
like
not
that?
because I didn't think about that until just now.
You should
But
you should do a new name for it so it's funny.
Oh yeah.
Call it like Chat ADD or something like that.
Chat ADD. I will.
Or Chat something. I don't know. Chat THC or whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so I did a post. It is kind of funny. It says, introducing our limited time offer. Elevate your style with our stunning drop earrings and enjoy a sweet deal. Use coupon code CandySigs at checkout on Etsy to unlock this special discount on your purchase. Handcrafted with love and dipped in captivating colors, these earrings are the perfect blend of modern elegance. Don't miss out.
And your caption, your otherwise caption that you would have wrote would be, use Candy Cigs on Etsy to get 15% off. Sale ends in a few days.
Yeah. It would have been like, yo, 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 I need some money. Use Candy Cigs. I'm trying to see how many views I got on that. Was it this one? I got 3,612 views. But it was also like an ASMR kind of thing.
Some of the content I just see is adding more noise to our world that we don't need. That is getting away from the essence of like what you're trying to show. Like,
no, I get that, but like,
and it seems inauthentic. Like, people know that you're not speaking in that way, or like if they know you.
True.
Like, is it?
But I don't feel like I have to be
appealing?
authentic on Etsy. I'm faking it on Etsy 100% anyway.
But it's about the product anyways, right? As long
Right, it's
as
about
you're
the product.
photographing
It's
the
not about the
products
words.
well, and that's the main draw.
Right, like I'm not gonna take this chat G8D thing and like be like start writing all of my posts. Like that was a post that was like a seller post, you know. But like I'm not
Do you
gonna
think
have
you
it.
could get people to buy the thing, or click on the CTA, or go to the shop because of some clever caption you wrote that you authentically wrote versus a fluffed caption?
Dude, I don't even know at this point. Um but I don't know, but like I do think that it would be interesting to I like the idea of like I do like the idea of when you have to write all of these listings so many times, just like having it do a listing, reading it, and then writing one yourself with like some of the words in there, you know? Like some of the words I would have never thought about that it like
Finding some adjectives and other ways to describe something is a valid way to go about helping you with the grammar and the vocabulary
right.
that you're using. So it's not just like, okay, my mind doesn't have space to think of these other words and like go through uh what's another word for ergonomic or comfortable
Right.
without saying the most basic way. You can go in and just throw in synonyms for comfortable on Google and go that route, and then you got to figure out how to make it sound good in a sentence and all that stuff. But I don't know if it's words here or there. I'm like, okay, well, those are just words that exist and they're related to these other words. But when you put them all together in sentences and you copy and paste sentences and paragraphs, like that's where I'm like, that's not really you.
Yeah. For sure.
How else have you strictly just been using it for the Etsy side?
I did it for a fair description.
Yeah.
But pretty much that's it. I feel like I think I did do a bio with fair because I was like, I don't want to do this.
Your bio?
Yeah.
I still haven't filled it out from Andrew's invite because I was getting I got some pictures ready for spoon rest, and maybe I just need to do the groundwork to just get the spoon rest created and put on there. I still need to edit the photos, but I did a little photo session, but I need to get them. Did you see I did a wholesale page on my website too?
Oh, nice. I didn't see that.
It's like just a landing page that has all my information about wholesale, all the different options that I offer, and I've got to plug in photos of. That's a fucking mess of trying to like, okay, what are all the photos I need to show the different forms, and then what color options I offer in those forms. Like, there's so many.
There's a lot.
And I'm like,
Remember, you don't have to show all of them. Remember that.
So just show examples and then give descriptions of like these are the color options, but you can't necessarily see them in these photos.
No, just tone it down to like your most popular color options.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did. But I've got the speckle clay and I don't know. I got the speckle clay and the white clay. So it's like 6 of each.
Yeah.
But that still seems like a lot.
Yeah. I think this was a good discussion because I think that I will go back and change a few things. I'm not going to change the titles. I like the fucking titles. They're great.
I do think it's good to try with the title. Like, I'm curious to see what the title options would be. I don't know. I've been reluctant to use it. Like I said, I used it once for like 5 or 10 minutes a couple weeks ago, and it was work related. I have a coworker that suggested it, and I was like, I don't know how to use this new tool and how to set this thing up. And he was like, you could just plug it into Chat GPT and it'll spit out the answer for you and tell you steps of how to go about doing this. But it's like you're coding something, you're setting systems up, you're running build jobs. Like there's some intricacies here, and I'm like, how do you just plug this thing in and it's going to give you the answer? I don't believe that that's all that's involved. I don't know. And usually there's so many things that are interconnected that you can't just plug your entire system into this thing and just be like, I'm trying to do XYZ. Give me the answer. And it'll just give you the answer and understand the full context of everything going on. But something as straightforward as like, give me a description for this link.
Yeah.
Where it's got access to every piece of HTML content on the page, all the text and whatever, all the metadata about that item. And I don't know if it analyzes photos or anything like that, but
yeah, I don't think it does.
I mean, I don't know. Where do you think it goes? Like, what would be the future of it if people start using it more? Or where's the next step of like what you see it being used for?
Oh, I don't know. Okay, so I asked if I could show it a photo of something to describe, and it says, as an AI text-based model, I am unable to directly view or interpret images. However, you can provide a description of the photo, and I'll do my best to help you with any questions, descriptions, or discussions based on the information you provide. I Oh, sorry. I was just thinking of something. I have a friend that I was telling her about this, and she's like, "Oh yeah, they're potters." And I'm not gonna say their name, but she's like, "My husband uses it all the time." She's like, "It's so annoying just to hear him like." Well, she didn't say it was annoying. He just has like so many like glaze ideas in his head. So instead of talking to her, he just talks to Chat GPT, and like tells him all the glaze ideas that he has.
So do you have to follow up with questions, kind of, or
No.
is it going to discuss things with, like?
I think it'll discuss things with you.
Huh.
People are gonna have full-on relationships with this motherfucker. Like,
jeez.
I think that in the future, well, I mean, I don't know what it looks like. It's interesting because I was actually talking to Josh, Rachel's Josh, about that because I showed him a picture of something, or I posted a picture and he's like, "That's wild," and I was like, "Yeah, it's AI," and he's like, "That's so crazy that AI made that." It was like a couch or something like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And oh no, it was a bathtub, and it was a glass bathtub. And I was like, it's amazing that it's coming up with these things because then people could put it into play, like.
And then would that be plagiarizing if they just make a physical manifestation of an image that is generated from AI?
I don't know.
Which is kind of like, I think Katie Marks had some post about this where she was describing something and then art gets generated in an image format that shows a three-dimensional object that relates to her work, and there's characteristics of her work, and then if she were to produce the item that was visually generated but it was like adjacent to or close to it, like, is that a gray area? Is that a more black and white, hey, this is copying? Or is it, is somebody who
Like,
like can't sketch is like,
who is the legal owner of that image? Because no single human came up with that image. It was a computer program that came up with that image off of essentially mathematics. And
but it had to source it from other imagery.
true, but you can source anything from other imagery and it wouldn't be plagiarizing. So, because nothing is original, right? So, like, if somebody recreated something that was AI, like let's say this glass bathtub, if somebody actually made the exact same glass bathtub, who would be there to say, hey, I made that? Like, that's my property. No one, because it's just a computer program that came up with that property.
You're saying there's no entity that owns the computer program that spit that stuff out? There are systems that own that computer program.
Yeah,
that you interfaced with.
But they've created the computer program to think like a sentient being, so it's like, so the
So you're
computer.
saying nobody's being harmed by it, so it's fine to
That
take
is
it?
not what I said at all. That is
That's what it sounds like.
150%.
It sounds like there's no one person that it can directly go back to.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying this is good. I'm just talking, okay? So what I'm saying is,
I
like,
shouldn't have
this.
said that statement. That was a very straw man statement.
What I'm saying is, like, this computer program is learning, right? So it's learning every time it's doing something new. Okay? So that means that the original
Or is
maker.
it just taking pieces from what it already has in its database and sifting through it and piecing it together in a puzzle in a way that is being served to you from existing pieces of their database that, when put together in a certain way, generates this thing? I think that's more likely of what it is. I don't know that it's thinking of new, well, maybe you can consider that new content based on the input that you're giving it. The output is.
No, okay, it says AI systems work by combining large sets of data with intelligent iterative processing
iterative
algorithms to
iterative
learn the patterns and features. So it is learning. It's developing. It's like it will never, because if it was just collecting data, it would never grow. It would never get better. It has to learn in some way. So if it's learning, then that means that it can't go back to the original person that designed it, because somewhere in the middle of the the internet interwebs, that's who owns this picture, right? Because it's like let's say Bob invented AI. Okay, so Bob invents AI, and AI is learning as each day it's getting better and better and better, because it's like gathering into like it's gathering all this technology and information, right?
I mean, it's getting more data and more data every day because there's endless amounts of information being added to the internet every day.
Right, and that's how we learn as well. We gather data. So it's learning. So at some point, AI is its own entity, and it's not Bob's anymore. Because Bob, where did that color come from? Because Bob, could have, his first iteration of it is not the last iteration, right? It's like,
but is it learning on its own, or is Bob using I think the learning is more, it's understanding the best results that are like the satisfaction, the person on the other end receiving the output is satisfied with the results, so it builds more confidence in the path it took to get to that answer. And I think that's where it's learning, is it's learning the best way to give the most accurate results, I think, is what it's learning.
It does say on the Google, it says, for now, there is no AI that can learn the way humans do. That is, with just a few examples, AI needs to be trained on mountains of data to understand any topic. We still don't have algorithms capable of transferring their understanding of one domain to another. So, okay. So, but anyway, back to the original point. If the AI produces a picture of this bathtub and somebody creates the bathtub that is exactly the same, who owns the rights to that bathtub?
I think that's still up for debate. I don't know that there's an answer right now. Do you think there is a more rightful owner?
I have no idea. It was literally just a question.
If it's a 50-50 stance, would you think it's 51% more the AI that owns it?
I think it would be 51% more the other person that owns it, because they actually did it. Like, AI just made a picture, and the person actually made the thing. So, like, they made the schematic, and the person
what if
made
they reproduced the thing and they sold the thing? Or what if they just made the one and they sold it to somebody? They're like, I can custom make that and I can put it in your home, and they sold it. Does that muddy the waters a bit?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I think that when you're making money off of something, I think that does muddy it a bit, where it's like,
well, what if a painter paints this beautiful chair, but they have no concept of woodworking? They can't do woodworking. And then a woodworker makes that chair that's in the painting.
They make the chair that's in the painting? So they reproduce all the pieces to make that chair.
They make the chair. Like, the two-dimensional item becomes a three-dimensional item. Is the woodworker who's made this chair, do they have to give money to the painter for the design of the chair?
I think it's how, I think the exclusivity and like how unique the item is, or like how many are in existence, factors into it. Like, how common is a chair? How common is a glass bathtub?
No, but it's like a very specific thing. It's like a specific design. So like it's like your blueprints to your house, right? Like the architect designed your house. Do they
Whoever
how
whoever made those blueprints would own it, I would suspect, unless somebody paid for the the rights or the building,
the building rights,
the
right?
the blueprints.
So is that how we like view AI in the future? Do we pay it for its blueprints? Just like we were talking about, do we pay a monthly subscription to
Do you pay the monthly subscription, or do you pay for pieces like a I'm thinking of the apps that are like micro purchases. Or does it become micro purchases that you're
Right, right. Like, hey, I'd like to use this paragraph. Okay, that'll be 99 cents.
or that'll
Like,
that'll be 4 cents, and then you're just buying it little by little, and
yeah,
it's so cheap that it's like, okay, I now own a piece of this, and I don't feel guilty about using it because I paid for it.
right.
And it's so stupid cheap that people are going to pay for it.
Lots of questions.
Let's say more and more people use it. Let's say we're putting this out in the ether. People now find out about it, and 10% of the potters out there that are on Etsy are using Chat GPT for doing descriptions.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be good for the network of products out there, or good for, I don't know, maybe good's not the right word. Is it producing better?
Will it muddy the water? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, does that help the platform, or does it hurt the platform? Does it help the individuals? Does it hurt the individuals?
It's a good question.
Or does it hurt the peers of the individuals that aren't using it? Or does it help the individuals that aren't using it? Because they're like, well, I can visually see the bullshit because they didn't do a good job of like parsing this down to something that looks more realistic, like a human wrote it.
Right.
And people just see through that, just like they see through when they're being pitched something or they're being marketed to. Like, people could see through that.
Right.
Is that going to be a negative for you if you're using this tool?
I think
Once it becomes
eventually it will.
so widespread, like
I think
I think people are going to see through it.
it's like buying Bitcoin 20 years ago versus buying it now. You know, it's like if you bought it back in 2000, you're like flying high right now, but if you buy it now, it does nothing for you.
But we're also assuming it'll stay the way it is. Like, it's going to get even
Right.
better and better and better. So will it get to a point where it's so indistinguishable from something that, like, could you give it access to all of your social media, all of your Facebook content you produce for the business page or whatever, all of
Right.
your website content, and you can, maybe there's audio invested in there. Maybe they can listen to all Wheel Talk episodes and they can spit out something
I
that
think
would
that
be in
it's
our tone and our voice and our perspective, that would be indistinguishable from something I would actually say or you would actually say.
right. I think that it's going to be one of those type of things. I think it's going to be like fashion right now where like people are going back to the 90s and they're thrifting and they're doing vintage and stuff like that. I think it's going to be like that where it gets to a point where people are like rejecting it because
It's so out of style.
yeah, because it's so like the norm, so like the
Mm.
people that have individuality will stand out more. So I think it's like a pendulum. It's everything's a pendulum, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so it's going to swing. Like right now it might benefit you to be GPT, but in 5 years it will benefit you more to be individual. So like use it to get ahead and then just cut it and then just
be an early adopter, and then you're like in there before everybody gets to it, and then when everybody gets to it, it's not cool anymore.
Right, then you have your files on lock that are like, "Hey guys, I'm a fucking individual and I wrote this with all the grammar incorrections."
Yeah. I think there could also be a negative side of relying on it so much that you're losing your ability to like think through actually doing the task.
Well,
You
sure. I
just
mean,
know how to interface with the chat to
yeah, I
get
mean,
the results you want.
look at kids that are like 6 and 7 right now. Like they can't even figure out how to like, unless you're giving them tasks to figure out manually, they're going to struggle compared to us on how to get things done. Certain things, you know? Like they all have to type out their stuff. They're not writing, so maybe their handwriting's going to be worse, you know, when we're old.
Mm-hmm. Or their
And
hands are going to be maybe their hands are going to be less muscles in their hands because they
yeah,
don't write as much over time.
or they can't spell because there's always spell check, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that that's just the way that the universe works.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely good efficiencies, and like, I love having spell check to fix things, but also it's kind of an asshole sometimes when you're trying to type something and it randomly capitalizes the first letter of the thing that's in the middle of a sentence, and I'm like, what the fuck?
100% agree. 100% agree. Like, so many people complain about spell check and autocorrect, you know? But they won't turn it off.
But it's like net positive on the whole. There are some
On the whole.
annoyances, but
Yeah.
it's not we also get used to it. We expect that when you start typing a word, you already know you fucked up. You're not going to go back. You're just going to keep typing in that
Yep.
similar area of finishing the word out, and you hope that spell check's going to figure it out, and they're going to be like, "Well, we know that these letters are next to these other letters that you probably typed wrong, so this is probably the word you're going for, and it's probably going to be close to being right."
Right. Yeah.
Or you're like, "I don't know how to spell uh philanthropy," and you start typing and you're like, all right, it'll figure it out, and then it comes up with it and it's like, I know it's going to fix it for me. All right, cool.
Or you just ask Alexa.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's like 12:30.
Is it? Holy shit,
We should probably cut this
we went over
short.
2 hours with that.
Yeah.
My god, when did we start talking about it?
We've probably been talking about it for like 45 minutes.
Okay. Damn, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's an interesting topic. It's got a lot to there's a lot to unpack with it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've literally given it almost no thought before you said this, and I was like, maybe we should. Yeah, like,
Well, no, I definitely I like I mean, I'm glad that I'm the type of person that is willing to change their mind because like having discussions like this with you is really important to me because I would have never thought about some of the things that you said. You know, I would have just been like putting this into fucking everything and not even ever thinking about it ethically because that's not really on my radar.
I think it's interesting to like think about what next steps would be. Like,
Yeah.
if you use it for this, why would other people not use it for this? And then what
Right.
questions come up? Like, are there questions that you're not like? That's why I think of it so narrow as like, is it plagiarism? Okay, what part of this is good? What part of it's bad? Why is
Yeah.
it good? Why is it bad? Uh, what are these things actually doing? Where's the information coming from? Is it coming out of thin air?
Right.
Um, could
Yeah.
other people get the same results? And like, I think it leads to a more watered down, noisy internet that
I think that
sounds
we're
good,
going
but it's
that
very
way anyway.
markety. And I'm very anti-markety in general, so like,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I don't come across as anti-marketing, but like I cut through bullshit. Like I hate fucking ads. If I can avoid ads, I do it at all costs. Like
yeah.
So like we're being sold to hundreds of times a day. And that's why I'm like, Becca, some of your captions are like, do a little something more, but also like maybe don't do any more. Like don't put more into it that is not you, because people can see right through it.
For sure. 100%. Well, I don't plan on using it for Instagram. I just wanted to do it that one time and see what it did. But, yeah, I mean, like, it definitely does take away your individuality for sure.
I like the idea of brainstorming though. I think you brought up some good like brainstorming things that I could see it getting your mind into a state of like, okay, these are some things I might be able to explore. That's
right.
a good idea.
Like it would be cool. It would be cool like when we were trying to figure out the podcast name, it would be really a great tool for that to be like, hey, we're trying to figure out a name for a podcast. We do pottery, we do this, and like having it like spit out all these answers and then kind of like taking those and then moving from there, and that would be a cool tool.
Yeah. Or like once it's to the image portion, show me 10 images of pottery with deer on them or something, or a deer inspired piece of pottery or something like that, that's giving you some thought provoking things that maybe you can't just randomly, like you're still gonna have to source it from somewhere, you're still gonna have to look through Pinterest or whatever, but it's a more direct thing that you can't really just plug into Google because it's not exactly that smart for this specific thing. So like, there's definitely uses for it and like ways to that it beats Google. Because Google's just showing you things that already exist and are already published and all of that thing. So, there's definitely some there's new challenges that'll come about to it from it as well, of where those lines are going to be drawn.
So. Okay, we're gonna end this with, I asked it, can you tell me a short joke?
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna start using this for. I'm gonna say a joke on my subscriptions every day. Just a really dumb one.
Joke of the day.
Joke of the day. Why don't scientists trust atoms?
Because they have no nucleus. I don't know.
Because they make up everything.
Oh.
Ooh.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks, guys.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.